Well, hey, everybody, I'm Holly Tate, SVP of Growth at Leadr. And today I'm so excited to be joined by Travis Sneed, who's the executive pastor at Covenant. Travis, thanks so much for being with me.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time, Holly.
Yes, well, I'm excited to talk to you because you're one of our very first Leadr customers. And I love having those conversations because you've been with us from the very beginning. And we've gotten to see your team grow and develop through Leadr. And then you've gotten to see our team and our software grow and develop as
Sure.
well. So let's start out. I would love to just have everybody hear a little bit about you and Covenant. Talk to us about your role there and a little bit about your church.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, my name's Travis Sneed, and I get the privilege of being the executive pastor here at Covenant Church in Greenville, North Carolina. Covenant Church is a church of about 2,000 people. We're a multi-site church, 2,000 people here on our central campus. And we have a second campus that has about another 150 people. And I've been in my position for about 18 months. I started in March of 2020. And when
A
I
great time
arrived,
to start. Oh
oh,
my
hey,
goodness, Travis.
I know we started March 1st and got a chance to worship in person for a couple weeks before everything just shut down and the world changed forever.
Wow.
Um, Needless to say, it's been an immense challenge to start in a season like that, but Leadr has certainly made it much easier for us and has been such an incredible tool for our staff and kind of the start of my tenure here at Covenant Church.
That's awesome, Travis. Well, let's go back to March 1st of 2020. You joined the Covenant team. And like you said, I mean, who would have thought that only a couple weeks later, the world would completely change? So talk to me about when you first got into your seat there as executive pastor, what were the biggest leadership challenges that you were facing at the time as you were thinking about care and development of your team?
Yeah, we have a staff team of about 50 people in general, and based on kind of our sprawling campus, we have staff in various places all over in different buildings across our campus, and of course that accounts too for our second location in a nearby city about 30 minutes from here. And so one of the biggest leadership challenges that we faced was, hey, we were a staff that was spread out, and we did not have a lot of opportunities to collaborate. And so we were just kind of thin in that area, and we really needed something to help kind of bring us together, to help coordinate and collaborate. And so Leadr's been a really great tool for that. That's one of the challenges that we face. The other challenge that we ended up facing a few months later is just a number of different staff changes and turnover. And that meant we needed to onboard some people, and we needed to then kind of develop them as part of our staff team. And so that's just another challenge that we face that Leadr has been really helpful in helping us to accomplish.
Well, you're not alone. I mean, so many of our customers were facing, I think those were the two biggest challenges that we heard. One was our team is used to being in person. We're a church, we
Yeah.
meet in person together, we have meetings in person. So when everyone went to quarantine, they didn't have the systems and processes in place to really collaborate and communicate consistently. And then of course, secondly, with turnover, and for some organizations, they had to let folks go. And for others, folks just decided to move on to the next adventure. And so you're not alone in that. And we're hearing that quite a bit. And even still, as we kind of come out of that season, as organizations are figuring out even a new normal, what does hybrid look
Right.
like? What does virtual and in person together look like? So
That's right.
it's a big, big challenge for sure. So as you were facing those challenges of fragmented staff and virtual communication, and then also facing some changes on the team, what solutions were you looking for to help you solve those challenges?
Well, I think that one of the things that we knew we needed to do was we needed to improve our meetings, and we needed to meet more frequently. We needed to meet together because, as I mentioned, we were very disjointed and spread out all over our campus. We just needed to when we met together, we needed the meetings to be efficient. We needed them to be more organized. And so that was one of the most enticing elements to Leadr when I was looking for a solution for that, because through the meetings component of Leadr, it enabled everybody to be on the same page. And so we were able to create agendas ahead of time so that then everybody on the team was well informed of what we were going to be discussing and addressing. And if they had certain things that were related, even tangentially, they were able to add that to the agenda. And that's one of the things that I learned was, without a platform like Leadr, meetings are really, the power of meetings is really held by the person who calls the meeting and who holds the agenda for the meeting. And so for us to be able to open that up to, our entire team was just a game changer, and it made everybody more intentional to come prepared for meetings, to be present, because it then helped to reinforce the location and the time and who was a part of it. And also it helped us to have better follow through, because we were able to use the meeting agendas after the fact, almost like minutes from a meeting, in order to know what was discussed, what were the action steps, what were the things that we were kind of left, that we tabled, for our next meeting. So that was an incredible solution for us with where we were and where our staff was at that time.
That's so good. I love what you said about, when you're not using a tool like Leadr, the power of the meeting really sits on that person that called it. And then, yeah. I know I've been there, where you get into a meeting and you're like, what am I doing here? I don't know what the purpose is. So when you have a collaborative tool where you can really delegate that responsibility down to everybody in the meeting, and everyone can speak into what needs to be talked about and can collaborate even ahead of time, not only during the meeting. It's so powerful. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other solutions or components you were looking for to help you overcome those challenges you were facing?
Yeah. So in the turnover of our staff, and one of the elements of my job is really staff development. And I knew that I wanted to employ different ways of kind of raising up our staff, equipping them professionally and personally. And so I knew I needed to be able to send out, things, to assign things for them to review ahead of a meeting. And I didn't want to just send it out, like a link in an email and wonder if they're even watching it or reading it. And so that's where learning really was a really valuable tool for us. It enabled me to assign learning to various staff members or teams. And I was able to then kind of, with some accountability, see who's kind of completed that learning ahead of time, who needed maybe a helpful reminder. And I've been able to do that with, things on YouTube, learning opportunities, podcasts, as well as just kind of PDF documents of book summaries or other things. And so the flexibility of learning, and yet that in and of itself as a tool, has been really helpful for me in investing in our staff and helping them to develop.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, I always say content is not the problem. There's so much content out there. It's the context that's the problem. Yeah. And so for you to be able to, share that learning with a team member and then have a conversation about it is so helpful. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So as you were looking at these different solutions, what stuck out to you about Leadr?
I would say that, you could go with other programs and other platforms that help with project management to help kind of keep things organized and keep things moving along. In my opinion, they're somewhat one-dimensional because they're focused, generally on a project or a task or something of that nature. And so the thing that I was impressed most by with Leadr is that it's all encompassing. It all happens under one umbrella. And I've been very impressed that, Leadr just continues to add great tools all along the way that only enhance its functionality for us. And a great example of that was something that Leadr recently rolled out with reviews over the past several months. And so we actually, as a staff, were able to kind of have our entire staff team go through and to conduct their reviews, their annual reviews through Leadr, which just made it even more easy because we were able to connect some of the things that we had discussed in meetings, goals that they had, other elements like that, action items, into their reviews. And so it really just made for a seamless, annual review process. And so I would just say that when I was considering other platforms, the best thing that Leadr had going for it and still does is that it's all encompassing. It all happens under one umbrella. And I thought that was sensational.
Oh, that's sensational. I love that word. That's awesome. Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, Travis, about the difference between project management and people development software, which is what we are at Leadr, because project management software is awesome for projects, but not for people. And so that's really our heart, is to have a software that is solely focused on people development. So that's awesome. Yeah. Well, okay, so it's been a little over a year since you started using Leadr. So tell me about life now on the Covenant team. How has Leadr helped your team? How has your team adopted it? What does life look like now as a team member at Covenant?
Yeah, so it has really and I'll say, just, to be completely transparent, getting everybody using it and comfortable with it is the biggest challenge to begin with. But once you get everybody using it and it becomes kind of just part of what they do on a daily basis, it has really just transformed so many different things. And like I said, we have, our meetings are better and more efficient. People feel comfortable now scheduling meetings and inviting people into meetings, but then also recognizing that, well, I might not need certain people at this meeting because, I can kind of see who I have, and that's good representation for the nature of this. It has certainly helped me and others on our team with action items and really kind of tasks that, people needed to kind of be working on, and with goals. It has enabled us to, keep tabs on what people's goals are and where people are in that process. I mean, it has done so much to help us do things. As one church leader said, it has helped us to go farther, faster. And so that's been a really great tool. That's part of the reason why Leadr has been a really great tool for us over this past year, and why, we continued, why we renewed for a second year, and why I don't necessarily see us ever leaving Leadr, because it has just helped us that much over this first year.
That's awesome. That's so cool, Travis. Well, what advice would you give other leaders who are considering a leader for the care and development of their team? Anything else you want to share with them as they're thinking through signing up for Leadr?
Yeah, I know what it's like to have, been part of other platforms where you have frustrations and headaches and things that, just never go right, or you just can't figure things out. And one of the things that I would say about Leadr time and again was, whenever I had a question, it was quick and easy response time and responses. Leadr has proven themselves to be open to feedback, and feedback that, honestly, it felt like we solicited in months 1 and 2, have kind of come around in the software development side of it, that we are now seeing those come to fruition. And so it's really rewarding for us as a client just to kind of say, hey, you listen to us, and when there are changes that either need to be made or suggestions that we'd like to make, they don't fall on deaf ears. They are well received. And so that's been one of those things that makes us feel like we're valued as clients, and also is one of those things that Leadr is continuing to develop and evolve and to get better and to strive for excellence in every component in everything that they do. And so that has really impressed me. And so anybody who's considering Leadr versus maybe other platforms, I believe that should be one of those things that we should take into consideration, because feedback is one of those things that's immense, and being able to take that feedback and to see new things come from it has just been really rewarding from our standpoint, and has certainly made our lives easier as those new integrations have been brought in.
Thanks, Travis. That means the world to our team, because we talk a lot about feedback at Leadr. And it's even we dedicate a whole component of our software to feedback. And so we really try to practice what we preach. And so we always take any feedback from our customers to heart, because that's what gets us out of bed every morning, is to help you care for and develop your team. And so we really want to hear that from you. And I'm so glad that you feel that on the other side. So, well, Travis, thank you so much for sharing with us about your journey with Leadr and with Covenant. We're cheering you on, and we're here to help you care for and develop your team however we can.
Thank you. And, we're glad to have Leadr on our team and on our side to help us do more and to do it better here at Covenant Church.